Iligan City Division Region 10. I will be your teacher in Grade 5 English lesson today. And our audio editor is Sir Alfredo Pagasian Jr. After going through this module, you are expected to explain the verbal and non-verbal as a genre of communication and how to analyze using its cues. But before that, please prepare your English 5, Quarter 4, Module 3, Lesson 5 module. Prepare also your journals and your ball pens, then find a place where you can sit comfortably and be ready to learn new lesson in English with me. People communicate much more than words. When we interact with someone, our body has a language of its own. The way we sit, the gestures we make, the way we talk, how much eye contact we make, all of these are non-verbal ways of communicating. Communication is the process of transferring message which happens with or without words. These are two types of communication, verbal and non-verbal. Verbal communication is perhaps the most obvious and understood mode of communication, and it is certainly a powerful tool in your communication toolbox. Put simply, verbal communication is the sharing of information between two individuals using words. So verbal communication uses words. Now let's move to the non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication employs nodding, facial expressions to lean toward the speaker to show interest. Body language can reinforce your spoken message, or it can contradict it entirely. Every communication involves at least one sender, a message, and a recipient. This may sound simple, but communication is actually a very complex subject. The transmission of the message from sender to recipient can be affected by a huge range of things. These include our emotions, the cultural situation, the medium used to communicate, and even our location. The complexity is why good communication skills are considered so desirable by employers around the world. Accurate, effective, and ambiguous communication is actually extremely hard. There are two forms of communication. A, verbal communication. If verbal communication was really as simple as just talking, there wouldn't be nearly as many arguments in the workplace. That's because a lot of arguments happen as a result of misunderstandings originally caused by poor communication. For example, a word you used offended a customer, but you didn't even realize you offended the person. If you had chosen your words more carefully, the misunderstanding might not have happened. If you've never thought about verbal communication skills before, then it will take some time and practice to learn. Start by focusing on these 5 verbal communication skills. Verbal communication skills. Okay. The first is speak clearly. Speak loud enough for the others to hear and enunciate your words. Focus on sounding out each syllable so that the person you're talking to can understand you easily. So that is speak clearly. Dapat klaro. Second, choose your words carefully. The words you use should be appropriate by anyone's standards. If you ever find yourself wondering whether or not a word is appropriate for the workplace, it's probably best not to use it. Practice using words that show your intelligence and professionalism. That is, choose your words carefully. The third one, use the appropriate tone. Your tone or sound of your voice says a lot about what you're saying and how you feel. Make sure the tone of your voice matches the words and the sentiment you are expressing. Next, consider your audience. Sometimes, you might want to change your communication style or how you communicate depending on who you are talking with. How you speak to your 5-year-old niece is not the same way you should speak to your boss. Next, respond appropriately. Responding appropriately requires that you think before you speak. When you respond automatically, you risk saying something you don't mean and possibly offending the person or other person. Let's move to nonverbal communication. Although verbal communication is important, spoken words make up only a small part of communication. The majority of communication is nonverbal. The amount of communication that is nonverbal shows why it is so important to pay close attention to people's actions as well as their words. Nonverbal communication is made up primarily of facial expressions and body language. Understanding these nonverbal cues helps to fully understand what the speaker is saying. Mastering nonverbal communication will enable you to be a better communicator as you get better understanding of the nonverbal cues you and the people you communicate with are sending. If you don't understand nonverbal communication, you will miss out on part of the message. Nonverbal cues can tell you how people feel, if they are telling the truth, and whether or not they are paying attention. There are common nonverbal cues that can tell you a lot about what a person is saying. First, eye contact. Second, pace or speed of speech. Third, crossed arms or legs. Fourth, posture or body position. Fifth, facial expressions. Now that you know some nonverbal cues to watch for, you can start looking at what they might mean. When reading nonverbal communication, pay attention to differences between what the people are saying and what they are doing. It is also important that you are aware of your own nonverbal cues. When your words don't match up with your facial expressions, body language, and posture, people will notice, while they might not actually think. Okay, let's have activity 1. This one is simple analysis. All you have to do is encircle the letter that corresponds to the, encircle the letter that corresponds to the correct answer. Or you can write the letter in your answer sheet or notebook. Number 1, which of these do not deal with precise information? A, engineer. B, scientist. C, technician. D, fiction writer. Number 2, in an office, an employee communicates horizontally with his A, superiors. B, subordinates. C, colleagues. D, assistant. Number 3, talking comes under which type of communication? A, verbal. B, nonverbal. C, written. D, dramatic. Number 4, which of these has maximum reach? A, writing. B, listening. C, speaking. D, talking. Number 5, how is good technical writing achieved? Again, how is good technical writing achieved? A, naturally. B, by practice. C, listening. D, speaking. Number 6, which of these parameters are not required to define style? A, moral truth. B, compassion. C, gender. D, information. Number 7, any style must convey moral truth. A, true. B, false. Number 8, a writer must convey information with A, precision. B, clarity. C, randomness. D, truth. Okay, another one. Encircle the letter that corresponds to the correct answer. Number 1, what is nonverbal communication? A, communicating with someone by using gestures. B, getting messages across with facial expressions. C, using your body language to convey something to someone else. D, all of the above. Number 2, which of these is not an example of a verbal communication skill? A, the speed of our speech. B, eye contact. C, language used. D, volume of speech. Number 3, why do we have to make sure we do not speak too fast when communicating with a customer? A, they may not hear everything you've said, like promotions or special products. B, the customer may speak fast also because you are. C, the customer may get excited and burst into song. Number 4, paraphrasing is A, repeating a customer's order back to them exactly the way they said it. B, asking the customer to repeat their order again. C, informing the customer of the process they must follow to place their order. D, relaying the order or message back to the customer to ensure you understand their request. Number 5, reading and responding to body language, using facial expressions and using silence are all examples of what? A, open listening. B, pretend listening. C, clarity listening. D, active listening. Number 6, examples of correctly using speech and volume skills include A, giving the right information, speaking at the right volume, and articulating your words. B, speaking softly, use long pauses and positive facial expressions. C, keeping eye contact, speaking loudly, and using the right language. D, holding your head high, yell all your words, and keep your eyes closed. Number 7, why is keeping a good posture important? A, customers may judge you. B, it helps show the customer you are confident and have a good attitude. C, you may stretch your uniform and have to pay for another one. Letter D, it will help the customer understand that you are a health-conscious person. Number 8, facial expressions, posture, and eye contact are all skills in A, verbal communication. B, anti-verbal communication. C, post-verbal communication. D, non-verbal communication. Number 9, one of the best ways to show customers you are listening is A, talking to the person next to you. B, frowning at the customer. C, appropriate amount of eye contact. D, asking them to repeat what they said. Number 10, using communication skills effectively will help you do what? A, understand the customer's request. B, provide the customer with the right information and service. C, make sure the customer feels good after being understood. D. All of the above. Okay, I hope all your answers are correct. But we're not done yet. You still have one exercise to do. Answer the following questions on your own paper. Be sure to write in complete sentences. Number 1. What are the two basic types of communication? Discuss each. Number 2. Why is it important to be a good listener? Number 3. How would you handle a tense situation among your peers at work? People communicate feelings and attitudes. Only small percentage of our overall message comes from the words we use. 55% of our message comes from the body language, especially from movements of the small muscles around the eye, which can convey shock, disbelief, doubt, or disgust. Then, 38% of our message comes from the tone of voice. Only 7% of our message is conveyed by the words. Again, 55% of our message comes from body language. Then 38% of our message comes from tone of voice. 7% only of our message is conveyed by the word we use. According to Mirabian 2007. Okay. Answer the following questions on your own paper. Be sure to write in complete sentences. Why is your appearance important in communication? Number 2, what is the most important concept you have learned from this lesson about effective communication? Number 3, what is one thing you can do right now to improve your communication skills? Okay, so you can continue answering that later. For now, that ends our lesson for today. I hope all of you understood our lesson. Always remember that learning and discovering good things is important, but applying them in real life is very important. Till next time, this is Teacher Vivian Amada Oclarit saying, Basta iligan, number 1, basta iligan, walang iwanan. Thank you. Bye-bye.